Ask a Recruiter Live. I'm Becky Graham from Glassdoor, and we're here to help you navigate a job market that no longer plays by the rules. Today's show is about the quiet, self-inflicted ways job seekers lose a recruiter and what to do instead. Because chances are you don't have a resume problem, you have a mindset problem. And stay till the end when we put our guest on the spot. Quick questions, gut reactions, and the takes recruiters usually keep to themselves. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome today's guest, Amy Miller. Amy has 25 years of recruiting experience inside companies like Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, and she now serves as head of talent and people ops at Portal Space Systems. Amy, welcome to Ask a Recruiter Live.
Thank you so much, Becky. I'm really excited to be here and tell all the secrets and get kicked out of the Recruiters Club.
Well, I'm interested to see that happen. Anyway, we have people still joining the rooms. I wanted to give the audience a bit of a chance to get to know you better.
Great.
So I'm curious, Amy, what's your one cringe professional behavior you're guilty of?
Oh, that I'm guilty of? Oh,
yes,
no.
You're guilty of.
Oh man, it was probably from okay, here's a really horrible one. Okay. This was back from my agency days when I was actually doing like biz dev and kind of the whole 360 recruiting process. And I was cold calling this company and I asked for this, person in charge of a thing. And they were like, he died. And I said, oh, can I help you backfill his position? The answer was no.
Oh, wow.
Not my finest moment, Becky. This is why recruiters have such a bad reputation. We are just always so focused on like gotta fill the position. That's the number one thing.
Well, you can't hold somebody against trying to do their job. So
I was in the moment.
yikes. Yeah, you were definitely very hyper focused. Wow, Amy. Well, I can't wait for the rest of today's conversation. Started off on a really great high note. So really quickly, I just wanted to discuss a couple housekeeping issues for audience. If you have a question for Amy today, drop it in the Q&A box. You can find it at the bottom of your screen. And please upvote the ones you like. Those are the questions we'll be bringing into today's conversation. And if you're on YouTube, welcome. We're happy you're here with us. Drop your questions in the comments. Okay, Amy, when you and I got together a couple weeks ago to discuss today's conversation, it really could have gone in a lot of different directions. But one thing is clear that we kept coming back to was job search is all about mindset, right?
Yes, absolutely that. I think first of all, want to say I am well aware of the power imbalance that exists between hiring companies and job seekers. And I think that is even more obvious in a down market. So I've been doing this for a long time, since the late 90s. And I've seen markets come, markets go. Sometimes it's a candidate market, sometimes it's an employer market. When it's an employer market, that power imbalance shifts drastically, not in the favor of job seekers or employees. I am also an employee, so I get it. I count on, my boss thinking I'm doing a good job and continuing to pay me. So we can't control that, but you can control your mindset. You can control the way that you decide to approach job search. You can control what advice you take, who you listen to, how you interpret what you're hearing and learning about the market. So that's what I care most about, is just giving job seekers enough information to be dangerous so that they can separate the signal from the noise and figure out what really makes sense for them in their unique situation.
That's great, Amy. And as a result of that conversation, we came up with 5 ways to lose a recruiter.
Yeah.
Each one is a mindset shift in disguise. So
yes.
You'll be prepared to tackle your job search. So let's dive in. Let's start with way number 1, which is reading silence as rejection. The resume is sent, the silence sets in, and the job seeker decide the verdict is on them. So helped us
Yeah.
demystify the black box of hiring, Amy.
No, absolutely. And again, a million variables here. There are so many different ways a system can be configured if you're applying through a company page, and which ultimately goes into an ATS, something like that. I really didn't want to be the first person to say ATS out loud. This is already going badly. No, I'm just kidding. But there's a lot of ways. Maybe I sent an email, maybe I, called my friend, asked for a referral or whatever. And any of those inputs can result in, I didn't hear back. From a recruiting perspective, and I just had this conversation with a job seeker just a few days ago. He was very frustrated. I just got rejected after 3 months. What's going on? And I said, you know what? That's actually potentially a compliment. And the reason why, because a lot of times recruiters will look at, especially in this market, I've got a massive list. I've got 100 potentially well-qualified candidates. I can only maybe talk to 10 or 15 of them. That leaves like 90 of them that are just kind of hanging out, not hearing back from me, but I like them enough. I don't want to say no. What if my short list falls? What if I, need to go back and I have a second role or something like that? Now, in a perfect world, that's being communicated to you. So I recognize recruiters can do better. Like, hey, don't have an update right now. You're on the maybe list. I don't know if you want to hear that or not. So fully recognize that we can do better, but that kind of lack of response or lack of updates is generally a recruiter just honestly does not have an update. We could even be waiting for a manager to tell us if they like you, because a lot of times we'll just send resumes or, kind of early stage application questions and feedback to the hiring manager, and we're waiting for them to say yes. So the silence is also, we're also suffering in silence. We're like, hi, hiring manager, what do you think? Tell me, say yes or no, please. So I get it, but I just assume that, I don't know, maybe my ego is just that big, but if I'm the candidate, I'm like, well, they probably just like me and don't know what to do with me yet. So I'll just wait.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot happening behind the scenes that job seekers really aren't privy to. So there's a little bit of patience involved on the job seeker part of the coin. So thanks for bringing more light into this situation. Amy, I want to jump into the way to lose them, number 2, which is trusting the wrong advice. People are taking their marching orders from people who've never hired anyone before. So there's a lot of that viral job search advice circling online. And as someone who's deep in it, what narratives or takes frustrate you the most?
The number one thing is this insistence that recruiters are somehow the enemy.
Wow.
And I always tell everyone who will listen, what does this person gain if you take their advice? Just step out of the emotion for a moment, forget what the advice even is. I don't even care what the advice is, but I want you to look at the situation and say, okay, Amy said this thing and Bob said this other thing, and they don't agree. So Amy is actually gold and paid to fill open positions at her company, and Bob is going to send you an invoice for some coaching. Whose advice should you take just simply based on their incentive alone? I'm not saying Bob's a bad guy. I'm not saying coaching is bad, but I'm saying if you have two very different bits of information and Bob is over here saying, oh, you shouldn't listen to Amy. She works for the company. She's not on your side. Well, you and I have the same goal. I want to get a hire in my company, and you want to be hired by my company, maybe, or some company. Bob wants to send you an invoice for some coaching. Do with that what you will, friends.
Yeah. Common sense says work with the recruiter, right? So
at least for the company they're responsible for. You don't have to take my advice for anything outside the companies Becky mentioned, but if you're interested in working in one of those companies, I might know a thing or two.
Yeah, what are some other myths you wanted debunked? I know one of them was hiring is broken, the market is doomed. Talk a little bit more about maybe if you have 3 or so myths you'd like to debunk about the job
absolutely.
search.
So the idea of hiring is broken is a big one. This is such a broad catch-all term that we have absolutely misused and abused. The hiring process is going to be unique for every single organization. And even within those organizations, how you hire talent A looks very different than talent B. So when you say hiring is broken, you're kind of saying like there's a single process everyone's following. And that could not be further from the truth. I work for a very small startup and we have like 6 different processes. just with the handful of roles that we're working on. Working at a big giant corporation that I just left, I've lost count, hundreds, thousands of processes. So that's the first thing to understand. Like there is no single process. So I want to understand the process that I personally might be engaged in. How do they hire accountants? How do they hire recruiters? How do they hire whatever I am? The second thing is what happens once I enter that process. So again, we already know every process is different. So what happens once I enter the process? There's a lot of discussion about AI. I know that is the hot new topic that we all want to beat to death. And it is amazing to me how many people switched from constitutional law experts to epidemic disease experts to now AI experts. Like it's fascinating. The same people. I've watched it for like 10 years. Holy smokes, these people are like Renaissance men, so, but we play with a few prompts, we read a few articles, all of a sudden we know everything about this process. And I'm like, I actually use it every day and that doesn't track, but what do I know? So again, like take your advice, take your guidance from the people who have input into a specific way of using it. AI is in use. It would be silly to pretend it's not, but it is not being used the way a lot of people think. It's much more behind the scenes. It's much more like just surfacing data or kind of like making it, I'm like, make this less spicy. I do that all the time for like emails, things like that, but it's really not the nefarious, thing that's hiding you from other from recruiters and hiring managers. So the way those tools are used, like the truth is tools are used, the myth is how they're being used. And that's really frustrating because there's just enough truth to be annoying.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Amy. Okay, I just wanted to jump in quickly to the Q&A. We had a question that popped up around this topic. Amy, do you recommend candidates directly reach out to the recruiters? Seems insensitive of how much is on their plate already, or go through the application process and be patient?
The most exciting messages I receive are the ones that say, "Hi, Amy. I applied to your role, job ID, blah, 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 blah. I use this email address to apply. I'm really interested for this reason. And I just wanted to reach out to reiterate that I'd love to be considered for the position. And if you tell me my dogs are cute, that's extra points. You don't have to do that." But I think it's leading. So yes, the answer is yes, but it's leading with that intentionality of like, I've already done the part that I'm responsible for. I've done the application. I've done the, answered your questions. I've done whatever I'm supposed to do. This is just me like raising my hand and saying, hey, I just want to make sure I'm interested. I am still in touch with people that I hired at multiple companies because that's how we met.
That's amazing. Yeah, and a little flattery goes a long way.
I just, look, my whole life is online. There is nothing you guys can't find about me and use in your outreach, okay?
You like the sleuths.
Everybody loves that little like, oh, this isn't just a random message that they sent to 500 recruiters. They actually followed me.
I love that. Well, thank you for answering that audience question.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to jump to the third way to lose a recruiter, and almost everyone does this, myself included. You hand over a resume that has your entire professional history on it and hope that the person reading it connects the dots. When we were chatting pre today's discussion, you told us the real fix is realizing the resume isn't about you. It's about the person reading it and the job they're reading it for. Can you talk more about this?
Absolutely. That was one of the most offensive things I've ever said, according to like 3 people. So raging fans everywhere I turn. But no, that was a hard truth, and I had to recognize it as well myself, Becky. I mean, I've made the same mistake. I'm really proud of my career. I'm really proud of, the things I've done, and that big biller award I got in 2003. Like no one cares about that anymore. That was 20 years ago. So it's hard to let go of those things because they are special to us. That's a really big deal. That's a really important moment in my life that I'm proud of. But here's the way I want you to reframe your thinking of your resume. So again, mindset that you can control, job seeker friends. Your resume is a movie trailer. You want someone to buy the ticket to come see the whole thing. The movie trailer needs to speak to the itch that person is trying to scratch. So if I'm in the mood for a romantic comedy, I'm probably not paying much attention to The Odyssey right now. Although I do still want to see it. I've heard it's not as bad as they said. And I love to watch bad movies. So anyway, another story. So, but you want that movie trailer. So if you're applying to a role and you know that the itch they're trying to scratch is, this is somebody with significant, people leadership experience and program management experience, and they've done cool stuff in the manufacturing industry, your movie trailer, AKA your resume, speaks to that. Not what you did in med devices, not what you did in sales, not what you did in college, unless it was recent and relevant, but really narrowing it down to just the enough tidbits to get you invited to the interview.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Our resume should be thought of like a movie trailer. And by the way, I actually really enjoyed The Odyssey. So
good to know.
Phenomenal movie. But yeah, no, it is really tough, Amy. I mean, I found myself guilty of this, like I said a moment ago. Like, you're really proud of what you've accomplished
1,000,000%
in your career, and you're trying to do the best to sell yourself and set yourself apart from the competition. But I appreciate your way of reframing things is that the job you're applying for, they're looking for something very specific. And if you're not telling them that you're able to do that job, then, what's the point?
That's it. That's the only question a recruiter is looking to answer. Will I embarrass myself if I put this resume in front of my hiring manager? Been there, done that.
Yeah, that is a really good question to ask yourself, or even just for the audience to reframe it for when they are putting their resume together.
I think the best, I love that, Becky, because I think what I would tell job seekers to do, if I wanted Amy to hand deliver this to the head of manufacturing, what do I want her to be able to tell the head of manufacturing about me? That's what goes on your resume. Now, keep in mind, the head of manufacturing, my imaginary person in this scenario, wrote that job description. They're the one that told me, hey, this is what I want. Go find me a person that can do the things. So that's the lens I want people to look at job descriptions and recruiter engagement through. Hey, I'm going to ask Amy to go advocate for me with this hiring leader. What can I provide her at this early first stage that makes her feel confident that she's not going to look silly putting me in front of that leader?
Yeah, that's really great advice. And I think this next question really speaks to that. When we spoke prior to this conversation, you were talking about your own life.
Yeah.
And you said that you have 3 versions of resumes for the same role.
Absolutely. Yes.
So can you talk about what audiences you're tailoring them to and what's important to each of them?
For sure. So I'm really only the last couple of years been in like a recruiting leadership type role. My current role is expanded even further. So now I'm over the entire people operations. So that's including recruiting, HR, all the things for my company. So I'm going to have a resume that's focused on leadership. That could be recruiting leadership. That could be people ops leadership, whatever that looks like when the time comes. I'm also going to have a resume that's maybe more focused on like a recruiting lead type of person, or like an individual contributor, but with really strong kind of leadership and influence and like business partnership, things like that. So that's something I can definitely did for many, many years. I will also then probably have a third resume that is maybe even a little lighter. it may read as more of like a traditional candidate facing sourcing recruiter, which is someone who kind of focuses on top of funnel or focuses on, just like kind of one part of the recruiting process. So I'm going to go ahead and build all three of those from the start. And then I'm going to map out the labor market and see, well, what kind of people are actually getting hired? Because if the market's shifting back to kind of that, just heavy sourcing, candidate generation, top of funnel type of recruiter, that's what you're going to see in my resume. If there's a lot more leadership opportunities and there's things that I'm truly qualified for that I could jump on, that's the resume you're going to get. So I am all three of those people. I could be, depending on where you put me, but I also know the hiring manager doesn't care. They want to know that one persona that solves their problem, not the other two that I might be really proud of. So it kind of goes back to what we just talked about as far as like the movie trailer. I can do all the things. The Odyssey has a little romance in it, but we don't lead with that because that's not the main thing an audience is looking for when they go watch that movie.
Right, right. Well, this is a good transition to way number 4, which is applying with a fire hose, not a filter. Uh, or better known as the spray and pray approach.
Yeah.
You see this law of diminishing returns play out constantly, dozens of applications,
Yeah.
a few targeted ones you were talking about just a moment ago, how to really target those resumes / applications to the audience. But I'm curious, how do you make sure you don't put too much energy or expectation into any one opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a numbers game to a point. This is the difficult thing, right? Because you could be a perfect match for a job and still not get a call because you have 57 friends that are also perfect matches that applied just before you did. And some recruiters, just by virtue of their availability and time and pressures, they may only get through the first 20. I fully recognize that sometimes happens. So it can be a timing thing as well as a numbers game, but the law of diminishing returns is so valid here. When you are just kind of throwing resumes at anything and everything, you're not taking even 5 minutes just to make sure, did I pick the right persona? Did I speak the right language here? Did I tweak the words on my resume just a little bit to make it really crystal clear? A lot of people will look at like kind of a keyword match or something as some kind of nefarious black box secret. It's really not. If I'm applying to a role that's looking for a senior recruiter, guess what I am? I'm a senior recruiter. If I'm applying to a role that's looking for a recruiting manager, oh, hi, that's my title in my summary that kind of introduces me on my resume. That's not a lie. That's me adjusting and adapting what I'm giving you to fit what you're looking for. That takes a few minutes. So if you're doing that, 3, 4, 5 times a day, the time can add up. And that would about be my cap. I would probably max out at that. But there's a second reason that I'm not going to overdo it. If you show me a resume of a job seeker in a very difficult market, overrun with great talent and lacking opportunity, which a lot of us are in that, and that same person is saying, I applied to 1,000 jobs. Where did you find 1,000 jobs in your industry that you're qualified for and can actually commute to? Both of those things cannot be true, friends. You cannot be qualified for thousands of jobs and be getting 0 responses. Like how? What is happening? Because if there really are that many opportunities for you, then we have to look at like, what's the message you're sending? But more often than not, when I have these coaching conversations one-on-one, people are literally throwing their resume anywhere and hoping it sticks. And it is so mismatched. And I'll just tell you a very quick story. This is an absolutely true story.
Oh, yeah.
This is a couple of companies ago, but I knew this person socially. And I kept seeing their name in our system, applying to literally thousands of jobs, none of which they were qualified for. I'm like, imagine a recruiter applying for like mechanical engineering jobs. This is odd. Because I knew this person socially, I kind of felt a responsibility like, oh, maybe I should check on him. Is he okay? Was he hacked? What's going on? And the response I got when I very gently called was like, hi, I'm seeing a lot of this and I'm a little concerned. I figured if I apply to enough jobs, someone will call me. Okay, that someone is me, and this conversation is not going well. So that's like, I mean, I felt bad. Like I understand the emotional,
Sure.
place this person was that drove the behaviors, but it was harmful. And for the other 100 recruiters who don't know this person, all
Yeah.
they saw was an annoyance. I saw a struggling person that I tried to help.
Yeah.
A lot of other recruiters are not going to see that just because they don't know you.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, just the logic behind it is if I can get in front of someone, then I can sell them on my
Exactly.
talents.
Yes.
But I think what people fail to see is this actually works against them, not
It,
for
it really
them.
does, unfortunately. And it's heartbreaking because again, I know Bob the career coach is telling y'all to do that, but it's maybe not the best idea. I mean, you have to really try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. What is their incentive? Recruiter's
Mhm.
incentive, I want to put good people in front of my hiring manager so they think I know what I'm doing. Hiring manager's incentive, I got to fill this role. My team is drowning. They're too busy. Like, think about it through that lens. And that potentially could really change the way you're showing up in those applications.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're right. A lot of that advice, kind of to go back to something we were speaking about earlier, is really about hacking the system
Yeah.
so you can get to the interview process. But
Yeah.
perhaps that's why everybody's getting stuck still in the resume phase. I mean, the application phase, and they're
Yeah.
not progressing.
It becomes a bottleneck, right? And
Mhm.
and the reason why I talk so much about the importance of like, minor little tailoring tweaks or really being intentional and applying to way less roles is because that intentionality is where people stand out. We get so many hacks and just random weird bits of advice that don't really play well in the real world about, if you just make enough noise and you just get in front of the right people and you just get enough attention. Like, not all press is good press, friends. That's not true. I don't know who said that, but it's wrong. And so, and if everyone's doing the same hack, you're no longer standing out, are you? Like, everybody read Bob's advice and it's bad. You're all doomed.
I love that intentionality
Yes.
around job search is where people stand out.
Yeah, 100%. And the other thing too, a lot of people, we get a lot of pushback like, oh, well, if everyone's equally qualified or everyone is doing the thing or everyone's whatever, no one else has your unique set of skills and abilities and accomplishments. I work with a lot of great recruiters. A lot of great recruiters are just as good, probably way better at recruiting than me, but they haven't done exactly what I've done. So my job is to package what I've done, help draw the very clear picture of how that solves the same problem you're trying to solve if you're hiring, and hope that I hit the timing right. Because timing is a big part of it too. You could be the 21st applicant when they've already decided to go with the top 10. That's not a you problem. That's not even a company problem. That's just a timing. The universe has something different for you problem.
Yeah. Wow. That brings me to my next question, Amy. How do you know when it's time to let an opportunity go and to move on for good?
Oh man, this is a hard one, right? Because you never know. You will get that random call, and I've made this call. Hi, I'm so sorry. I know you applied 3 months ago, and I just found your resume. Would you like to? Would you like to interview? I've done that more than I care to admit. So the way that I do it, though, as a job seeker, occasional job seeker, and many times over candidate in my career, I'm going to apply and I'm going to let it go. Nothing I can do. The application is out there. I've done my best. It's done. Now, I am a big fan of the follow up, right? So I take my own advice. I'll find who I think might be the recruiter or might be the hiring manager, and I'll shoot a quick note. Hey, I applied. I'd love to, be considered or answer questions if you have them, whatever. Okay, great. If I don't hear back, I may try one more time. If it's a company I'm really excited about or a role I feel really good about, I might send a follow up. Hey, just a quick, nudge, knock on the door. I'm still really interested. Let me know if you have questions. Let me know if we can talk, whatever. And then I'll do one more. I have a 3 touch point rule, and I have the same rule with candidates. If I find somebody or a potential candidate and I'm really excited about their background, I think they'd be great. First introduction email, second follow-up email, third email. Hey, I'm going to close the loop. I'm not going to be that annoying person in your inbox all the time. If anything changes, here's how you can get in touch with me. And I do the same on either side of the desk. And then I let it go because they know where to find me. They have my contact info. I've done what I can control. And now I'm going to move on to one of the other 5 or 6 or 10 companies that I identified.
Yeah, that's a really helpful framework for someone. Because a lot of times we do have trouble letting go.
Oh, for sure. And I've done that where I've gotten so fixated on, oh my God, I'm obsessed with this company. If I don't get this job, my life is over. And I don't get the job. And then 6 months later, the company goes bankrupt. And I'm like, oh, okay, sorry, didn't mean to argue with you. You're like, maybe that job wasn't for me. I mean, you just never know. There's any number of things that could go good or bad. But yeah, you just, again, mindset, focus on what you can control. And I have come to learn that there are just things that I think are for me that are ultimately not for me. And that's okay.
That is very, very true. And timing is everything in life. I know,
1,000,000%.
we don't like to hear that, but a lot of, what do they say? Some no's are yes in a different direction.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think patience around your job search is probably the most important thing. And as you said, intentionality. So that's going to lead to more wins than losses. And
absolutely. The final thought I'll make on that is lack of information often leads us to fill in knowledge gaps with our own assumptions. I see this all the time. Oh, well, that company ghosted you. Oh, well, they suck. You should never work there. And they're terrible. Like, because you didn't get a response to your email, that you added all that context and all of those personality traits and all of those policies because they didn't reply to your email. Like, it's wild. And so I would just encourage people. I understand nature abhors a vacuum and so do people. Don't make assumptions. Let it go. They didn't call me. I don't know why. I don't care. I'm moving on. It's fine.
Oh my gosh. I think that is actually like the stories we tell ourselves, right?
Yes.
Just like you could probably write a whole book on the stories we tell ourselves during job search, or, we're about to get into some interview flubs and things of that nature. Yeah, it is, you're right, lack of knowledge or really understanding of processes can create a lot of stress, unnecessary stress, create a lot of unnecessary stress for ourselves. So
it's okay to not know. I don't know. And that's okay. I'm moving on to what I do know. And that's me and my movie trailer.
Excellent. Well, I just want to remind our audience, we have about 15 minutes left in this conversation. Man, it's flying by. So again, if you have questions for Amy, drop them in the Q&A box and vote the ones you like. I've seen a couple trickle in there. I'm going to revisit the box as soon as we tackle the 5th way to lose an interview. So while we're discussing this, feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box. Okay, Amy, this is by far the best. I mean, I'm just really excited to talk about this, the 5th way, to lose a recruiter. And it really is something, it's really something fun and interesting. And it really is bombing the interview. We've talked a lot about the application process and, and, how to construct a resume. But the moment your mindset shows up live, and this is the moment your mindset either shows up live, it either carries you or sinks you. So we want to have some fun with this. We decided to ask our followers on Glassdoor Social their cringiest interview moments. And I want you to react to each one and give us the verdict, rejected or hired. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I pointed at the big boss and told him I was coming for his job. He laughed at me.
Immediate hire. We love a succession plan in HR. Gotta always be ready. Somebody could win the lottery, get hit by a bus. Who knows? Yes.
Okay. Number 2, my interview turned into a therapy session.
Oh. who was the patient? This is important context because I've been in interviews where the interviewer was losing their mind and I was providing the therapy. That was a no for me, dog. So I think I need more information. I'm gonna say probably no, but I'm
Okay.
willing to be swayed.
Okay. We'll just say rejected for now.
Okay, we can just, if you're forcing me to make a decision, if it's not an emphatic yes, it's a no.
Okay, excellent. Okay, this one's a good one too. I told them they need me more than I need them.
Reject.
Ooh.
No ego. No ego.
Ooh, too much ego.
Too
for
much
you.
ego. I just, it just, and again, like if it's said in like a joking way or something like, it's cool. Like I love a good joke, right? I think I'm pretty funny, and I don't get flustered or frustrated, but I've also worked, and maybe this is by virtue of me being in tech for so long, I've worked with some people who really get ahead of their skis. And like, cool, you're really smart and you've got 47 patents and 50 degrees and all the things, but you're kind of a jerk and nobody likes you. Like that's the
True.
energy that immediately gives me. So again, forced to make a decision with no other data. No, thank you.
Okay, no ego for Amy. 4, I told them I love their matcha. I never been there and they didn't have matcha.
Oh, honey. That's innocent. I'm gonna give that person a chance. I'm gonna say yes.
Okay, okay. They didn't do a lot of research on the company though.
That's a whole, we need to come back for a follow-up on company research because I have lots of thoughts about that.
Oh, definitely.
But
Yeah.
I think, and I think context here matters, right? Because if you walk into an interview with PepsiCo and you're drinking a Diet Coke, maybe not. Maybe that's a no. But this one feels like I'm flustered, I'm nervous, I'm trying to make a good impression, and I stepped in it. I will forgive that all day long. That is a yes for me.
Okay. At the end of the interview, I accidentally said, I love you instead of thank you.
Immediate hire. I love you too. Let's work together.
All right. And last but certainly not least, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. I got so nervous, I forgot the word for wrist and called it my arm ankle.
Yes. And the reason why I love these, and we've had a few yeses that were really because somebody was, kind of flustered and like maybe
Sure.
didn't bring their best self. That to me, I translate that as like this person cares. Like they are focused on like wanting to make a good impression and wanting to, that to me, I will take that over ego any day of the week.
Wow. That's really good to know.
There's the common threads there, right? Like I love
Sure.
the people who are like human and raw, and then the people who are like, you need me more than I need you. I'm like, bye. I'm not interested in, especially in my current role where I'm the people person.
Sure.
I don't deal with that. I don't want those escalations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, for anybody in our audience who wants to share their cringiest interview moments, you can drop them in the chat, or Autumn is actually posting a link right now to the Instagram post.
I love that.
That was a lot of fun, and thank you for playing along there. But all joking aside, Amy, what is the mindset job seekers need to have in order to really ace the interview?
Cautious optimism and curiosity.
Okay.
I think those are the biggest things. Like go into it assuming things are going to be good. Assume that you're going to get along with the people you meet. Assume that it's a great place to work. Assume that this is going to be a good match. The mindset that like the pep talk we give ourselves matters so much. And a lot of people will go in ready for a fight. They're like going in on the defensive and, I've got to just get past the recruiter. I've just got to convince these people who don't know me and have nothing to do with it. Or they think I only have to impress the hiring manager. No one else matters. Like all of those kinds of things actually work against you. So if you go in with this like cautious optimism, I'm not going to put every hope for my career on this job because I know how it works, but I am going to be hopeful. And then I'm going to be really curious. Recruiting is a two-way street. You are interviewing us as much as we're interviewing you. And so leading with that curiosity and like, what does good look like for you guys? And can we get matcha up in here? Those kinds of things are good things. It shows that you're taking an interest. It shows that you care about the potential future and potential fit and where you might fit with us. That's the energy I love. I love when people are excited
Mhm.
about us, and not in a like, I need to go kiss Amy's rear kind of way. No, I don't want that at all. But I want you to genuinely be curious about what we're doing, what we're building, why it matters, because I can geek out on that all day long. And when you get excited, and it's a bonding moment. So be optimistic, be curious.
Yeah, and you mentioned when we were going through kind of the rapid fire discussion, how important company research is, doing
Yeah.
company research before, to demonstrate that level of interest and excitement, correct?
Yeah. And I think this is such a landmine, to be honest. I'll give you my high level thoughts. I think that the way you approach this with a recruiter is going to look a little different than the way you approach it in a final interview round.
Okay.
Recruiters, my preference, and this is what I do, recruiters should start the conversation with, what can I tell you about us? That way a candidate can be like, oh, I did this research, I learned this thing, or hey, I heard this, is that true, or whatever. So it kind of, it gives the candidate an opening to either talk about what they did research, or if they didn't for whatever reason, because this is their 15th interview after 150 applications and they're exhausted, it gives them a safe place to be like, I don't know as much as I'd like. Can you share more? Right. So the recruiter should be creating that safe place in that early call. The
Okay.
recruiter also has a responsibility to make sure that the candidate knows going into that final interview, hey, they're going to expect you to understand A, B, and C. Hey, they're probably going to poke a little on what you know about product Y or product N. So recruiters need to be able to read the room on both sides and make sure that the candidates are set up for success with the right knowledge. Because frankly, if you, and I get these calls all the time. They read a press release about us and are like, oh, I read about this thing and da 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 da. And I'm like, I've got 97 other problems and none of them are that. So research does not always mean you know what's important. So it's okay to what? Be curious. Ask me.
Yeah, so Amy, we're coming up against the time. Do you have like a couple extra minutes today, or do you have a hard
Absolutely.
stop? Okay,
I'm
great. We'll
good.
take one more audience question before we jump into the rapid fire Q&A round.
Okay.
But this one is really kind of on the topic of interview rounds.
Yeah.
Why this person asked, why do companies put you through 5+ rounds of interviews? What is each round for?
Yeah. So it depends. Unfortunately, is like the stock answer to every recruiting question. I will say this: an interview panel and interview structure should be determined before they ever open a position. So if they've decided we need 5 rounds for these reasons, great. We know that going in, we know that before roles ever posted, and a recruiter should be able to explain that to you so that you know what to expect and when to expect it. Now, why do we do that? So Amazon is a great example here. We often did 5 rounds. We had five, well, it was actually 3 rounds. You had a recruiter screen, hiring manager screen, and then you'd have a full loop with typically 5 people. Sounds like a lot. And I appreciate that. But the reason why that mattered, recruiter screen is just checking off some very early fit boxes. Hiring manager screen is just making sure there's enough yes here that we want to dig deeper and learn more and be able to say confidently, yes, this is someone we want to hire. Those 5 rounds, each of those people are all tasked with asking different questions and getting different data. One person is focused on specific technical competencies. Another person might be focused on a clear, culture fit, or what I like to call values alignment. I don't like culture fit, but they're all bringing different amounts of data and different situations and different examples to make that final decision. So that's really critical. As long as the interview is set up correctly, the number of rounds isn't necessarily the problem. I understand they're not always set up correctly, but that's my thoughts on that.
Is this typical for most larger companies, would you say, Amy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, buckle up, bring a snack. You're going to be
And
here all day,
and what
maybe the
is
next day.
typically like the length of time that whole process takes?
Ah, it's one of my favorite things about being in a startup is that we are fast. we don't have to do that. I may have stolen somebody because I was like, we're making you an offer. Do you still want to interview with that other company? Yeah, I'm good. All right, come on over. And again, I think it goes back to ROI. From a candidate perspective, does it make sense for me to invest over the next 3 weeks? Now, here's the other side of that, though. And so this is one of those secrets I'm probably not supposed to tell you, particularly with those larger companies. There's something I call fallacy of choice. A lot of these bigger companies, looking at you, Google, they think, oh, well, if I don't interview quickly enough, or if I don't respond to the recruiter fast enough, or if I don't take action on that candidate fast enough, there's 100 more lined up right behind them.
Mm. Yeah.
Recruiter Amy at Google did not like this at all. So it's mindset on the hiring side as well. And that's where great recruiters should be able to use their influence to improve that.
Well, I think that's a great note to end on. Thank you again, Amy, for going deep on all of these. I think everyone in this room knows how to lose a recruiter, which means they know how to keep one. So, and I hope they have the permission now to stop taking advice that was really never built to help them. That's been really working against them in some cases. So
absolutely.
That is a wrap on our main conversation, but we promised our audience at the beginning a quick rapid fire Q&A round where we get your hottest takes on hiring. So I'm going to read a couple questions, give us what first comes to mind. Okay. Okay. What's one thing that would disqualify a candidate immediately?
Absolutely clear mismatch to the basic qualifications of the role.
Ooh, okay. What's a trend in hiring that needed to die yesterday?
Any kind of white font prompt injection nonsense that makes you look so silly on your resume.
What's an acceptable form of lying on your resume?
Lies of omission. I don't need your whole life story. I need to know what's relevant.
Well, that's all. Thank you so much, Amy. I really appreciate your honesty on those questions. That's really a wrap on our conversation today. I would love for our audience to know how they could get in touch with you, Amy. So
absolutely,
people find you.
Best way to find me, I'm all over LinkedIn all day, every day, but you can also check out my website, recruiterauntie.com. I have tons of resources, tons of templates, and just all kinds of goodness for my job seeking community. I also have a YouTube channel, which is linked on the website as well, where I post. I try to do it every week, but I've kind of fallen off. But lots of other, hundreds of videos covering all things recruiting and job search. So, and all for free, no mailing lists, not gatekeeping, nothing. I have ADHD and I got to spend that nervous energy somehow. So there you go. You're welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Amy. And I just wanted to say a quick thank you to our producer, Caitlin, and Autumn, who's been working behind the scenes to keep you guys engaged in the chat. And to everyone who showed up to today's conversations. Your questions were awesome. We're really excited to be able to have this event, to be able to address some of those pain points that you're encountering in your job search. Before you go, we would appreciate if you could scan the QR code and give us feedback on today's session. And we hope you'll follow us on LinkedIn so you'll never miss an upcoming show. Thank you so much for attending. We'll see you next time on Ask a Recruiter Live, where we help you navigate a job market that no longer plays by the rules.